capable of being affected. Hi, Renee. Because of their thick layer of fur, many seals are almost impervious to the cold. Now I'm just reading this straight out of your little booklet.
This isn't about this word, but for rectitude, I have it on my note cards that it's a noun. Is that correct? Because I feel like it should be an adjective.
It's a noun. Let me see if I can give you a better reason than because I said so. Well, because you can put the in front of it, the rectitude of the priest, which is the example. The priest's rectitude gave him the moral authority to counsel his parishioners. It means, someone who's extremely moral, so, also, to be an adjective, it has to answer one of the 4 adjective questions: what kind, which one, how many, and how much. And it doesn't fully answer any of those.
Okay.
So that's also a clue that it's a noun.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So your first vocab quiz will be Friday. And then after that, it'll be every 2 weeks. And then the next one will be the 26th. Okay? Yeah, Mac.
Can you give an example for this one?
For impervious? Yeah. Besides the one that's in the booklet. Okay, today is supposed to rain like buckets from what I hear, okay? And because of the umbrella, she was impervious to the rain. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. While you're finishing up, I'm just going to go over some of the reminders up here on the board. Tomorrow we're going to have our first school meeting. And the main purpose of that is just to hand out your permission slip for Black Pine. And I'm also going to put you in your mentor groups, just kind of so you can get to know each other and just ask each other how the school year's going. We have quite a few new faces, about 9 I think. And so the mentor groups are arranged, all ages, and the purpose of that is so the younger kids have someone older to come to and just a constant group in their life. So, and I'll announce the new group leaders. So, we have that tomorrow. So we will be on kind of an adjusted schedule. It won't be that noticeable really. Field trip on the 18th. We are going to Black Pine. I've never been. I'm pretty stoked about it. Have any of you been to Black Pine? I think it's going to be fun. I hope they let us pet something.
They
will. No,
they keep everything behind. Yeah.
I'd love to pet a tiger cub.
That's like their opposite of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
The last time I was there, they were feeding the bears cookies.
Do what?
Last time I was there, they were feeding the bears cookies.
Yeah. I've seen, well, I guess maybe that was them. The pictures I've seen, it was probably the people who work there handling them and petting them. But, and we're tentatively going to have the first movie night on the 26th. Okay. And I just got a response back from the guidance counselor at Dwenger about the PSAT. So I'll be getting some tentative numbers on who's interested in taking that. Sophomores and juniors take it. Seniors do not. Aaron?
Do you know what movies that we're going to be showing?
Diversity, that's not what I mean.
Divergent?
Divergent has been thrown around. I'm open to suggestions. I have a list to pull from, but, what?
I think I want to see Divergent. I know that book.
haven't seen it, we own it, but I haven't seen it. Molly's a big fan, but that doesn't mean it'll get picked. So, if you have any suggestions, we try and show 2 movies as you know. One PG-13 and one PG or G, whatever the case may be. So, just some announcements here, and I think you're gonna get information on the first fundraiser very soon as well, the fun books, yeah.
Do you know the date of the PSAT?
No, I don't. I will find that out from her. We're starting to email back and forth, and of course you'll be excused from school like you were last year, and, yeah.
For those who have already taken the PSAT, do you want us to do that again, or should we just go for the SAT?
Well, the thing about, if you take the PSAT as a junior, you can throw your hat in the ring for the National Merit Scholarship money. So, I think you should.
Okay.
And, you know, if you are from a big family, your parents would probably enjoy getting some scholarship money. But I will find that out.
When is the date for that?
I'm not sure. I need to ask her when the PSAT is coming around. I think it was in October last year.
It
Seems
was like
like
October 16th.
something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I won't be fine.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I'll keep you posted on that if you're interested. No pressure. If you're not interested, that's fine. And you may not even be eligible for the National Merit Scholar if they want your school to be accredited. I have to find all that out. Because, you know, this school's not accredited. We don't have any plans to be. So, I'll have to find out all the
I think
details.
homeschoolers can. I've heard a lot. Like, one of my friends went and took it, and there was like homeschoolers that had been like studying really hard.
Okay.
And they're not accredited.
No, they're not. That's good to know.
And the reason they were there was for the scholarship.
That's good to know. She did say she has 5 homeschoolers signed up already to take the PSAT, so that's good, good news. Okay. Any questions about anything so far? Okay, Animal Farm. What's happening on the farm? Holly?
So they start to build the windmill, and throughout the process, it's kind of just been, the pigs don't really help. They do help when it's like urgent, but they don't help if it's, you know, they're not needed, so all the other animals are doing the work. And at first they like can't figure out, because they have so much limestone, and so they can't figure out how to break it, so they decide to throw it off the edge, and then they just, the horses carry it back with like carts, and so it's a lot easier to use. And then the pigs start living in the house and sleeping in Farmer Jones' bed. And it's funny because one of their commandments is, you know, one shall not, you know, live in a house and do, you know, human-like things, like sleep in bed and wear their clothing and drink alcohol, and so.
The pigs have kind of taken on a supervisory role, haven't they? Things have changed. Marie, you had your hand up, and then Erin.
Well, I was just gonna say like, the pigs were in the house and like the windmill got destroyed this time.
Yes, okay, Erin.
Yeah, I find it kind of funny in this chapter how Squealer kind of tells the other animals about the pigs living in the house, how like the commandments for no animal shall sleep in a bed was really about the sheets and stuff like that on the bed, not really about the bed itself.
Yeah, they make up rules as they go along, don't they? To fit their needs and to fit the occasion. Okay, what else? Holly?
Napoleon blames, or he says that Snowball came in the middle of the night and destroyed the windmill, and so that everyone should be against him, and so Napoleon's, I guess, trying to turn everyone onto his side and make Napoleon the bad guy.
Make
Or
Snowball the bad guy.
Snowball the bad guy, so it's
Okay.
interesting.
Do they believe that Snowball has come back in the middle of the night? Paige?
First, I read ahead, so stop me if I start saying something you're not supposed to
I will
know.
try.
Okay. I think this is from 6, and I don't know, I'm gonna check it in my book,
Okay.
cause I haven't written down the page number that but that's not the right number. Yeah, okay. Boxer, well, two things about Boxer. One, when he first, the animals are first told about how, oh, it was Snowball that came in and messed it up and stuff, and I don't, this might be wrong, but there's a part, nevertheless, where Boxer's like, he thinks about it for a while, and he's like, I don't believe it, like, that can't be right, I'm positive that in the beginning, it's something was stated differently, or he's talking about Snowball, when they have like the battle at the cow shed, and he's like, no, he fought bravely, he was there leading everyone, I don't believe what you're saying, and he's the only animal willing to say that, and of course, near the end again, he's like, oh, well, if Napoleon says it, it must be true, but you can tell he still doesn't really believe it. And then the other thing that I really liked, from 85, it's a quote from Boxer, it says, I do not understand it. I would not have believed that such things could happen on our farm. It must be due to some fault in ourselves. The solution, as I see it, is to work harder. From now onwards, I shall get up a full hour earlier in the mornings. So it's like, he's seeing that things are wrong, but yeah, like, it's a fault in themselves, but not in a fault in the animals who are listening to the pigs, like, it's the leadership.
Good, good points. What do you think, if anything, happens to the animals who speak out against Napoleon? Are there any consequences to them? Execution. Does that happen swiftly or gradually? Do you think, Erin, you'd like to say something?
I think it's a big show. Like, Napoleon advertises the fact that he's threatening somebody with the dog, so not only is he threatening the person that he wants to, that he's immediately trying to control, but he's also using that to go ahead and use more fear-mongering on everybody else. Like, I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, that's very good, he leads by fear for sure. Holly?
It reminds me of the Romans and the gladiator, and he just kind of entertains the idea of death instead of, or like, you know, execution instead of like it being something that's serious and kind of sad, and some of the animals are like, you know, okay with it because he's making it seem like it's okay to do, but yeah, it just reminds me of like the gladiator and how they watch the human like fight with the animal.
And from what you know about history so far, can you compare any of these characters to any historical figures? Anyone wanna share? I mean, some have compared a couple of the characters to Hitler, to, you know, the whole living in fear, to Napoleon, you know, the French Napoleon, not Napoleon the pig. Just keep that in the back of your head as you're reading. What do the other animals think of the pigs living in the house? How did that go over? Paige?
When the other animals found out, that was one of the times when Boxer was confused, and the other animals were confused by it as well, because they were all sure that they remembered in the early days there being a rule against sleeping in beds. And so some of the animals, I think one of the horses, I think it might be Clover, goes over and tries to read the rules and is unable to, and finally gets out. The wall now says that there is no to be sleeping in beds with sheets on it, because sheets are a human creation, but you know their stalls are just like beds, and the pigs need something comfortable to sleep on because they're the brains of the farm. So they're all like, oh well, since it's written there, that must have been true. And again, Squealer makes them all think that it's okay when they know it's not.
But don't they sleep between blankets?
Yes, very comfortable blankets.
Yeah.
So they're basically.
I mean, I suppose horses have blankets.
Yeah, where has Snowball gone?
There were rumors about it.
Rumors.
My idea is that he went to one of the rival farms.
Okay. farms. Any other ideas or thoughts? Ally?
I think it said in there that Napoleon, is gonna start, trying to, trade with other farmers. Which I thought was kinda strange, cause he's a pig, and I don't know how that would go down in reality, but I guess it's a buck, but I don't know, I just think it's weird, cause he's still interacting with humans and
Mhm.
like making trades with them, but you know, he
He's
overthrew.
becoming what he hated.
Mhm.
Paige?
Okay, I'm a little bit confused because they have this guy, I forget what his name is, like Whimper or something, who
Yeah.
comes in and does dealings with him, like, he's a human, so we're just supposed to assume that somehow Napoleon is able to communicate
Mm-hmm,
with him,
mm-hmm.
like words.
Talk.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
This is just like imagine that this could happen.
Correct.
Okay.
Because Napoleon supposedly, figuratively turning into a human, so what's the significance of this man's name?
Like a complainer or someone who's like telling things about, I don't know.
Okay, any other thoughts?
Possibly like weak and doesn't,
Okay,
really, like he doesn't, I don't know how to explain it, but I just think that he's like weak.
okay,
and
that's a
like-
good adjective.
Mhm,
What, Minnie?
Submissive.
Okay, yeah, submissive, I mean, he's taking orders from a pig. I mean, he's not standing up, who's standing up for what's right?
Boxer's
Boxer is trying to.
Boxer's trying to. And spoiler alert, it does not end well for Boxer,
Mhm.
sadly. And you have to wonder as the reader, did Orwell do this on purpose? Is Boxer symbolic for a whistleblower? Do you guys know what a whistleblower is?
Mhm.
Like, let's say in a factory, for example, something bad is happening. Well, Snowden would be an example of a whistleblower. I don't know if you remember who he is.
Mhm.
He was in the news in the past year.
Broke into the CIA.
Yeah.
Oh, I do
And he
remember talking
exposed
about
like
that.
all the
Yeah.
US secret.
He kind of blew the whistle. That's where the saying comes from, on something bad that was happening.
Mhm.
And he personally felt he did the right thing. And there are a lot of people who think he did do the right thing. But now he is labeled as a whistleblower, and, it's unfortunate. It's kind of like a tattletale in a way, I guess, to make an analogy. Even though, I never quite knew how I felt about tattletaling. Some parents have strict rules about no tattletelling.
Mhm.
But if it's something really important that needs to be told, then it needs to be told, in my opinion, right? But, then you're labeled and so forth and whatever. It's like the boy who cried wolf, if you, right? So, switching gears here a little bit, kind of, the names of the characters are so important. Snowball, Squealer, Napoleon,
Boxer.
Boxer, yes. Aaron?
Something about the names, how, like, with Snowball, we sort of like, I think most of us agreed that it was like about the snowball effect.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my dad about the book last night, and he said something that I thought was interesting, that like, with Snowball, the way he connected the name was like a snowball, like an actual snowball can be like really hard and cold. And I mean, you can throw it and it hurts, or it's also, it can break apart really easy and it melts under heat and pressure.
Okay, that's a very good point. Very good point. Because, if you look at it that way, he has kind of melted under pressure and left instead of staying and sticking up for the animals and fighting against Napoleon. Why is Napoleon in the power position that he's in? Who nominated, who died and made him king besides Old Major, that old saying? But how how did he get to be where he is? Why couldn't it have been Boxer as the leader? He would have been, you know, a strong leader, Aaron.
Nobody really stood up and said, I'm taking charge, more or less Napoleon just did, seeing as he had pretty much all the pigs at his back except for Snowball. He had all those dogs and basically just kind of took over, kind of like, I don't know, other people in history that have
Sure.
done that same thing.
Okay. Paige, you had your hand up.
I mean, pretty much the same thing. Just, I think the pigs do have an advantage because they are smarter animals. And so they may have been the only ones who like thought it occurred to them, hey, if I wanted to, I can take charge now, because it was kind of like a breaking point where someone needed to be in charge. And so I'm sure a lot of us would be like, Boxer may have made a better leader, but he would not have been able to think things out as thoroughly as the pigs would. It's just that because the pigs have the brain power to do it, like they are in charge, but their motives and like their heart isn't in the right place.
Mhm.
As where Boxer's motives and heart would have been in the right place, he just may not have been able to like lead as effectively.
Okay. Okay, very good. Aaron?
I think something that goes along with it is like, part of what goes along with power is like, I mean, like feeling like I can lead these people. And I feel like the pigs were the only ones smart enough to be that confident.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Napoleon kind of went to the extreme, and he's the only one smart enough to be selfish enough to be like,
Mm-hmm.
I can get everything I want.
Because Boxer is not selfish, and he does lack confidence. You know, he's a hard worker, and it's unfortunate because that he doesn't feel he has the leadership skills. And you, Holly?
But I feel like the way that Napoleon approached the situation was not necessary, and he could have probably handled it much better
Mhm.
and not been so forceful in his ways. And this whole situation could be completely different, but it's just, you know, the nature of his character.
Mhm. Predictions? Aaron?
Not really a prediction,
Okay.
I just have a word that can probably describe Napoleon, a
Okay.
tyrant probably.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Any predictions? I mean, we're more than halfway done with the book. Aaron?
I feel like Napoleon's gonna purposefully do something to Boxer with the stone.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, Aaron?
I feel like maybe, if Snowball really did go to one of the rival farms, that he's gonna kind of raise them up against Napoleon.
Okay.
Maybe, possibly.
What's the talk in the town, down at the bar where Joan supposedly hangs out? What are all the farmers saying, Paige?
Well, they're also like halfway in denial, where they are continuously making up lies to make themselves feel better, like, oh, they're all starving, they're all killing themselves, they're all dying of disease, when that's not the case, and I'm pretty sure they all know that, and that's kind of Mr. Whippier's job, or whatever his name is to go around and spread word about what Animal Farm is doing. That's something else, is like, they stopped calling it Manor Farm, people outside now, they call it Animal Farm now. And so that's a lot of what Napoleon does with Mr. Whipper, is like tell him, because they are running low on food because they're working on the windmill, and so Mr. Whipper is out telling people that, oh no, they're not low on food, they're doing better than ever, so that it looks like they're doing, I guess, better than they are, so they don't have to worry about people trying to come in while they're weak.
Right. But relatively speaking, it's not the big failure that the humans thought it would be. I mean, it has potential to fail if it keeps under its current leadership, correct? But currently, you know, what human would want to admit that a bunch of animals could run a farm better than they could?
Mhm.
So they'd sit down there and drink at the bar and kind of make fun of Jones and that he was run off of his farm by a bunch of animals, right?
Yeah, he moved to another part of the country.
Yeah, embarrassed maybe. Run out of town. Any other comments in chapter 6, or any other predictions? Has anyone finished the book? Some of you know how it ends, so.
Mhm.
That's an interesting, yeah, Holly?
I think it's interesting because I read this a few years ago for, I think the summer reading, and, I understood it, but after, because I actually had to research and look up what it really was about.
Mhm.
But now that I'm reading it again, I can see where all the connections are, and I think it's really interesting
It
after
is.
you read a book a second time.
Right, and 10 years from now, you may pick it up again and you'll even see more
Mhm.
connections to government because, you're young right now, none of you can vote yet. Well, you do have a couple 18-year-olds in here. When you vote in your first election, and you start paying attention to how the government's really affecting your lives, you pick this up again and you'll be like, I see. I would call this guy a squealer, this guy a Napoleon or whatever, right? And you start to learn more about history. You will see a lot of the connections as Orwell had planned. Anything else in 6? Maddie?
Well, the first time I read this, which was like 8th grade, I really connected with Clover. I thought that she was smarter than she made everybody think she was.
Mm-hmm.
But now I like Benjamin.
And what makes you like Benjamin?
Just 'cause I feel like, I don't know, he's not like standing up, but he's also not like just falling into submission.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
hasn't been conformed to all that, yes.
Mhm. I like Benjamin too, and I connected with Clover as well, and I've even had some students suggest that she would have been a good leader,
Mhm.
because she has that motherly instinct as well to connect with her followers, so to speak. And I feel like the older animals on my farm are more questioning of all this, are more skeptical than the younger ones, which
That's always the case.
it is always the case, and a personal story to go along with this, when, my last few years at Fort Wayne Community Schools, when things were changing there, and there were a lot of us who compared Fort Wayne Community Schools to Animal Farm, and we saw a lot of the same connections, in the leadership roles, and how the new teachers were really doing what they were supposed to, and the older teachers like me, we were like, what? Well, that doesn't make sense, questioning everything, and we would joke. English teacher humor, I suppose. We would joke about, wow, we're living in Animal Farm, but, and you may have your own personal, connection with this as well. You may have been a part of a team or a group where you thought the leader was, Napoleon-esque, and you thought someone else in the group would have made a better leader, and you can see some similarities. And, it's all relative to, how you can personalize a novel. Okay, I need to be quiet. So, read chapter 7, please, for tomorrow.
So I won't be here tomorrow because I have orthodontics appointment.
Okay.
But I'm on schedule.
Okay.
So next time I will schedule it and then I'll miss classes.
Okay.